Hi everyone, my name's Alyssa and I'm on the red team. My role was market research and competitive analysis. Every round, I pulled the other team's financial and emission data and turned it into a competitive read for the group before we finalize our decisions. The headline is that we could hold the number one composite ranking, but I want to show you two numbers underneath the ranking because together they tell a more complete story. First, our CO2 emission came in at 127, ranked fifth of the six. We were the only team whose emission went up this period, while green team dropped to 94 and now leads the field. Second, our revenue fell 34% on this period, even though our market spend stayed flat compared to blue, up 23, and purple up 20 in the same window. My read on this is that the strategy itself wasn't wrong. There was a lag between the competitive intelligence I was generating and how fast it reached our production and pricing decisions. Closing that gap became the focus of my role, and the next two slides walk through it. One time it worked and one time it didn't. The first instance is where the analysis worked as intended, pricing discipline against green team in the low cost segment. My analysis started with Annex 1, which showed proximity and price were the two highest weighted purchasing criteria for low-cost buyers. So I flagged that green team was consistently undercutting on price. That tied directly to our strategy. Annex 2 committed us to staying at least 10% cheaper than the segment leader, and my job was to verify round over round that we were completely holding that gap. The risk I was focused on here was negative risk, losing low-cost market share if grains pricing moves went unnoticed and our price advantage quietly eroded. The outcome, in the rounds where I caught grains pricing shift early, the team adjusted fast enough to keep our gap intact. We held our low-cost volume while competitors who reacted slower lost ground. And the reason this one worked really came down to speed. There were almost no time between when I surfaced the threat and when the team applied it against the strategy we had already had in place. The second instance is where my analysis caught a real problem, but the fix landed a round too late, and I want to walk through it honestly rather than showing the wins. The data was clear. Our marketing spend held flat, but revenue still fell 34%. That told me our competitive intelligence was identifying real threats, but there was a lag before that intelligence turned into a production or pricing decision. Specifically, Green Team's emissions investment was moving faster than our NX2 priority order accounted for. We had an eco-friendly ranked third, treating it as a lower priority while the market was already shifting. The risk here was a positive risk we underweighed. The upside of investing early in eco-friendly before competitors locked in an emission advantage we couldn't catch. Because we didn't move fast enough, we lost ground instead of capturing that opportunity. That leads to the significant decision I brought to the team. I proposed evaluating eco-friendly from priority 3 to priority 2. In our meeting, I put our green team's emission trend line right next to ours and argued the window was closing. If we waited another round, the gap would be too costly to close. The team's main pushback was that this might pull resources from our low-cost position. I addressed that directly by pointing back to the pricing win on the other side. Low cost was already secured, so reallocating towards eco-friendly wasn't a trade-off against our top segment. The team adapted to the revised priority order based on this case. That is my section. I'll hand it over to Aaliyah.
Hey there everybody, my name is Carlos Sola, and for my portion of the presentation, I covered the marketing and customer segments portion. Basically is reading demand data and positioning my team's offers against the field each round. The three pillars that I tracked were positioning, which was matching offers to segments in demand, awareness, spend, which is spend and visibility, access, which is proximity and distribution. Yeah, and then these next two slides basically just cover what worked for us and what didn't. Yeah, to start off, what worked was awareness spend in low cost. Our data showed that awareness spend in low cost segment was outperforming competitors, and our visibility was strongest where our priority offer lived. And yeah, strategy wise, concentrated spend on low cost rather than spending or spreading it across multiple segments. Leaned heavy into advantage instead of chasing weaker ground. The risk with this more so was the losing the segment visibility. If spend shifted before the competitive gap was secure, that would be kind of worst case scenario there. Outcome, we made sure to maintain strong customer reach in our highest priority segments, supporting volume in rounds where awareness directly drove buying decisions. And why it worked, I would say it was more so the spend followed data quickly. And yeah, the before competitors could close the visibility gap in core segments, but we kind of outweighed there. And then yeah, so what didn't work? Over investing in awareness before access, I feel was kind of our biggest issue. With that, awareness scores were competitive, but access, proximity, and distribution in the eco-friendly segment were lagging as the demand accelerated. Investment in awareness before distribution was strong enough to convert visibility into sales, but it built recognition customers couldn't easily act on. And then yeah, strategy wise, risk wise, uh, the upside of an early eco-friendly share had more so a negative risk overlook. Awareness without access produces more so diminishing returns. And yeah, spend went into it went before distribution was ready, so volume we should have captured wasn't really there. And yeah, the recovery lagged by the market by around. And yeah, a significant decision that I had to defend was a proposed rebalancing spend. It was a shift from awareness toward distribution and access in more so an eco-friendly manner. And yeah, in the team meeting, I made sure that I showed awareness scores were already competitive while proximity scores were falling behind. We had visibility, but couldn't close the sale, unfortunately. And yeah, with that result, the team adopted the adjustment. We moved in the right decision, but around later than the data should have. So yeah, other than that, it was a great time. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Belle. On this slide, I'm covering our operations performance for the red team. Our results were kind of mixed. We improved efficiency but had room to do better against the top teams. A positive outcome was reducing the CO2 emissions to 129, which was a 2% improvement from the previous period, showing more environmentally responsible decisions while maintaining production. We finished third overall in the universe for operations, which was good. Competitive but not leading, which we had more room for improvement. Our sales revenue reached just about $14,000, meaning operations supported revenue, but there was still room for improvement. If the simulation continued, we'd streamline operations, reduce costs, and keep improving sustainability. One production decision that worked was improving our emissions trend. CO2, like I said, improved by 2%, suggesting better operationing choices that reduce waste or improved efficiency. The risk I focused on was negative environmental and cost risks from efficient operations. And one decision that did not work as intended was our improvements still was enough to catch our improvements weren't enough to catch the top teams. Green was at 104, blue was at 117, and while we were at 129, we improved but still lagged stronger operators. Major decisions I supported efficiency over raw output. I supported a strategy focused on efficiency rather than producing more, balancing output, operating costs, and environmental responsibility. Producing more doesn't always lead to better performance if cost increases or sustainability declines. Emission performance affects both reputation and long term success and customers increasingly value responsible operations, so sustainability can be a competitive advantage. Excuse me. We finished third, but the data showed that we needed a stronger operational discipline and cost to close the gap. And if the simulation continued, this is definitely the strategy I'd keep recommending.